Oh, it's been a while since I've done an actual commentary, man. I've just been uploading live sessions and live commentaries, which I like doing, man. It actually shows, how I act while I'm playing and not it's hard to talk over this game when I don't like it. But fortunately enough, I'm not here to talk about the gameplay, although I will mention it. I think the score line of this is 118 to 8. I only get one Moab, and you're probably thinking, man, exquisite. Ozzy, Austin, you upload 150 kill games, quad Moabs. Why are you uploading 118 to 8? And there was just something about this game, man. It was full on Russian. Like, I never stopped to think. I was using a weapon you don't see very often, I don't think. It's the PP90, or at least you don't see from me. It's always like MP7 or UMP. I use those weapons, but I was using the PP90, and my accuracy and reaction time was so good this game. And we were playing against people who knew who knew who I was. They were session joiners, 3 of them, I think. So they were trying their heart out. They were trying their heart and soul out. And the enemy team only got 100 points, so this game could have lasted a lot longer. As well, I had like 3 15 or 20 gun streaks after I got the Moab. But yeah, there's the gameplay. What I really want to talk about is when I did my setup video, I mentioned I had a heart condition. So I'm gonna explain what the heart condition is and how I came across knowing that I had this heart condition, because I've only experienced it one time, and it was about a year ago. It's been around a year now, and we don't know, like, doctors couldn't come to a conclusion of whether or not I was born with it or if something I developed. But anyway, let's get into it, man. The condition name is SVT, or that's the acronym for it, I should say, and it stands for supraventricular tachycardia. And I said heart condition, and I address it as a heart condition. That's because that's what the doctors called it, but it's really not. It's a brain condition, but it's an electromagnetic scale that goes or scale electromagnetic signal that goes from your brain to your heart. So it's a condition in my brain that controls my heart. And how I came across knowing that I had the experience, very traumatic, and is the worst experience of my life. I was scared. Now I was scared for my life. I could have died. Um, I was up really late, like 6 a.m. in the morning. I was smoking weed. I was high. I don't condone smoking weed. I talk about that more in another commentary. But I was high, and I was watching a replay of Painkiller Already with Woody's Gamertag, FPS Russia, and Wings. And for some reason, something happened to me where I started having a panic attack. I wasn't scared. Nothing happened. Just something in my brain like made me start having anxiety or panic attack. And I never really had anxiety. And then it just randomly started happening. So I get pretty scared. I can feel my heart racing and beating, and I'm high, so it's fucking doubled. When anybody that smokes weed, if something happens when you're not high, it's all right, but when you're high, it amplifies it. So it was even worse. And basically, I went and told my dad. I was like, "Hey, man, I think my heart's racing. I'm having trouble breathing. Like, I have shortness of breath." He said, "You're probably just having a panic attack. You need to try to calm yourself down, go lay down, and go to sleep." And I tried to do that, but it didn't work. It just kept on going. And eventually, it got to the point where my heart rate was getting so high that my hands and arms started going numb. And that's when we knew something was wrong. So we went to the local fire department, which is luckily like a quarter-mile away, because we got there just in time to possibly, save my life. We got there, they instantly they hooked me up, and they laid me down on the ground, no cushion or anything at all, on the cement, because they could tell something was wrong. I was fucking pale. I was turning like blue and shit. I wasn't getting the blood I needed to, or the oxygen I needed to. And they hooked me up to the thing that tells you how fast your heart's going, and mine was going way too fast. It was in the danger zone, almost in the zone where your heart's gonna stop, and then they're gonna have to shock your ass. And I remember laying. This is just hard for me to talk about, for real, man. I remember I'm laying there and I'm shaking, like not having a seizure because I have control. I'm fully aware. I'm fully conscious of what is happening around me, but I'm shaking and I can't feel anything. My entire body's numb, and they injected me with something that basically stops my heart for a second, tries to put it back into rhythm. And that was scary as fuck. When they did that to me, man, it didn't work. For one, it didn't put my heart back into the correct rhythm. It didn't, slow it down. They said, all right, we got to inject them with something else. So they injected me with something else that slowed down my heart rate over time. And 5 minutes later, it increasingly, got lower and lower into the level where it was safe, like around 100. but I was in like the 180 level, I think, something like that, 180, 200, where basically this condition allows your heart rate to get way too high, allows it to get into the danger zone. And it's not like the movie Wanted, where your heart rate gets really high and then you have superpowers and you can see shit slower than what is happening. You see shit slower than what is happening, but it's because you're looking into death almost. And I remember my heart rate was so high, and they basically said once it gets that high, mine wasn't as high as it can, but once it gets around like the 200 level, your heart stops pumping blood. Your blood flow cannot keep up with how fast your heart is beating, and that's basically when your heart stops. And that almost happened to me, and that's basically what my condition is, my heart condition, or whatever you want to call it, the condition I live with. And I've been living with it for a year. I stopped smoking weed the day it happened. I haven't smoked since. And you know, it's been weird because I've started having anxiety because I'm scared, man. Like, it was completely random. There was nothing I did that caused it, so I'm scared. I mean, every day I worry. I'm scared about my heart and scared about it happening again. But I've learned to live with it, and I've learned to like not be scared. You know, I do the same shit. I work out every single day. I mean, literally, I've been taking my health very serious. I started working out 3 years ago, and I stopped once my heart thing happened. But started in these past few months, I've started working out really hard again. And when my heart rate can get high, like when doing physical activity, but it's just something that happens in my brain, and it's only happened at one time, and it fucked me up. And that's basically my heart condition. I mean, that's what it is, and that's the story of how it happened and how I live with it every day, man. I take medication. I get scared, man. I do get scared, but luckily I can control it. And that's it. That's basically it. But instead of just ending this on, you know, this final note, I mentioned, you know, I smoked weed and I haven't smoked since, and I stopped because of this. And the doctors assumed that the weed may have caused it, which is, I believe it, because your weed affects your brain. It's not a stimulant of the heart, but it is a brain stimulant, and it stimulates my brain. I don't even know if that's a word, but it stimulates my brain, and then caused my heart to have this reaction. It triggered that electromagnetic signal. It fucked it up somehow. I want to start a series on my channel where I talk about how I got into drugs and how I got into smoking weed, and like the stories I've had, because there's a lot of stuff I regret, but there's a lot of stuff I really love that happened, and I will cherish for the rest of my life. And I want to start that series. You know, it'll be just talking about stories. It'll talk about how I got into smoking weed and how I got into drugs and how I ended it. Well, you all know how I ended it, but how you know what I'm saying? So if you are interested in seeing something like that, it'll be commentary wise. It won't be talking about the gameplay. Please let me know in the comments below. And yeah, man, that's it. Hope you all enjoyed it, and peace the fuck out, YouTube.